Chad Lindberg on the line. Chad, you with us?
What up, man?
How you doing, buddy? Thank you for joining us tonight.
Good, man. I'm chilling. I'm excited to be talking with you guys.
No, we're really excited to talk to you. Big fans of yours. We got to ask you before we go into any questions about you or your career. What kind of basically a music theme tonight? What kind of music do you really enjoy right now?
I like Counting Crows. I like Dave Matthews. I like some other stuff. I enjoy the occasional Michael Jackson. I'm not gonna lie.
It's funny that that's the same thing we were saying today. That Counting Crows is one of my favorite bands. Dave Matthews is awesome. 90s bands, 80s acts. Have you found anything in the last 10 years that really wowed you? Because I really haven't. I really haven't.
That's wowed me. It's hard to wow me, but I mean, I would say Kings of Leon. It's pretty good. I really like, but yeah, nothing's really just blown me away.
Yeah, besides Kings of Leon, I love the early stuff too. That really is amazing. But who cares about music? Let's get off of music. We're so happy to have the star of Fast and the Furious. He's been on every TV show, and everyone loves him as Ash in Supernatural. Loves him, and I can't tell you the amount of emails that we've gotten, people that are dying to ask questions and talk to you tonight in regards to just that character alone. But one of the first things I saw you in was October Sky, and what an awesome performance. How did you land the role in October Sky with Jake Gyllenhaal and Laura Dern?
I got lucky, man. I auditioned like everybody else, and then I got called back for a screen test, and they threw up who they wanted in the movie first in the screen test, and I auditioned with all the boys who eventually got the movie. And that was my first studio gig, and it was one of the leads, and, to go away and film for 3 months, and, we were kids, you know what I mean? So it was an awesome experience, and it turned out to be a really great classic family movie, and it still holds to the day, and I hear that they actually show it in science rooms in school.
What'd you do in science, little Jimmy? I watched October Sky. That's awesome.
Exactly. So yeah, man, it was awesome.
Wow. Well, seeing like you said that's your first movie that your big movie that you had. What was it? Was it like culture shock for you, like with the craft tables and the setups and the cameras and everything? Were you kind of starstruck for the first couple of weeks that you were there?
Yeah, we were a little wow, is this happening? I mean, when we first got there, we went into our trailers, and there were these wrapped gifts from the studio, and they got us PlayStations, and we're like, what? It's yeah, and you're kind of on overload because everything is so big, and rainmakers, and everything was, period. It was pretty cool. I mean, definitely learned a lot, and what it means to be on a big film and the responsibility of that, and and then
I learned a lot. You said you learned a lot. Everyone has that moment, no matter what job you're in, where you make a mistake and you sit there and you think about it for days, like, how could I be so fucking stupid to say that or do that? Was there ever a moment, especially in your first couple movies that you did, where you're just getting used to how everything's going, where you're like, wow, I can't believe I said or did that?
I'm sure there have been. I mean, there's those moments where you kind of get your butt chewed a little bit, maybe by a director, not in a bad way, but just they kind of they get in there to try to get more out of you, and that's happened a couple of times. But most of I go onto a set and I really kind of just shut my mouth. I a lot of people go on and they just blab away, and I kind of sit back and watch everybody, and I kind of have an objective point of view from it. And, everyone's in it for their own reasons, and I really respect that. So I kind of go into it, and I really just kind of sit back and listen to everybody,
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that everyone's in it for their own reasons. What really got you into the whole acting thing? Was it just something that you've always wanted to do? Is it something that progressively, as you got older, said, I really want to give this a shot? Give us an idea of that. What made you get into it?
I actually wanted to be a cop like my dad for, since I was a kid all the way through high school. I had gotten, I was going to go to college for it to be a cop, and then like I started acting during high school, and I realized that I was passionate about it, and then I had a knack for it, and I felt like I was pretty good at it. And there was another guy in town named Jim Caviezel who was, played Jesus in Passion of the Christ. And he was also from the same hometown that I was from, Mount Vernon, Washington. And at the time, in high school, he had done this, he had just gotten cast as Kevin Costner's brother in Wyatt Earp. It was big news around town. It was, like, really cool. And I was like, fuck, man, like, I could do that too. So I literally kind of picked up my local newspaper and went to the classifieds and went and saw an agency in Seattle was looking for submissions called Kid Biz. So I said, fuck it, man, and had my mom drive me down there. And I auditioned. They took me right away, and they threw me out on an audition the next day for a movie called Born to be Wild, which was a Warner Brothers movie that had come from L.A. to film in Seattle. And it was to play a burger boss, and I had 2 lines. And I auditioned, and I ended up getting it. My very first audition, I booked. And so, I got to go work on this studio film, and that kind of started it all, and kind of took it step by step from there.
Well, before we get into, like, Fast and Furious, and everyone has the same questions for you about Fast and Furious and Supernatural, which are amazing things, but I feel like you probably answered those questions a million times. I'm really excited to talk to you about the documentary, My Big Break.
Yeah,
I've been
awesome.
Following the progress for years. I love independent films, and I've been dying to see this ever since I first heard about it. I still haven't seen it. I've been looking all over for it. My Big Break, for those who don't know, filmed over, it's got to be almost 15 years now. Follows you and some of your roommates. The one that's most famous out of the group would be Wes Bentley, who starred in American Beauty. And it just shows the trials and tribulations of people that are first trying to get into the industry and first really trying to make it. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think there was 5 of you in total, correct?
Yes, 4 actors and 1 director.
So did he just one day woke up with this idea, let me just tape our progression in the industry? Is that how it really went? Yeah,
pretty much, man. And thank you for bringing it up, because it's obviously a very special, dear movie to me. And it's out on Amazon, actually. It just came out. You can get it on Amazon. So a lot of people are starting to see it, which is very cool. And, yeah, we were all living in the house, and, we couldn't clean our carpets. It was just a pigsty. And, it was like a bathtub pad. And then 3 of us in the house just started blowing up. And when there was another actor in the house, he was really struggling and watching all of his roommates basically blow up around him. And then we had Tony, who was a director, and he was literally sleeping on our couch. And he was like, I'm going to start filming you guys. This is all happening around us. And he was looking for a script, and he thought, what a better story than what was happening right in front of him. So he started rolling cameras, and we were all very open to it. Everyone's kind of at a different place with it now, but at the time we were all very open to it, and he got a very raw look at what it's really like to go to Hollywood and what that does to relationships. Once fame enters the picture, it just, things shift, within yourself and around you. So it's an interesting take on it,
Yeah, I'm dying to see it. Like I said, I've been following it forever. My order is going into Amazon.com tomorrow, and you guys should definitely follow my lead, My Big Break. Check it out on Amazon, apparently. How long were you guys roommates for? Was it a long-standing relationship? And actually, how did you guys meet?
We were roommates for probably... actual roommates for maybe 3 or 4 years, but there was something really magical about the house, and everybody just kept flocking to it. I moved out. I moved like 5 minutes away, but I was always back at the house. And, at the time when American Beauty was happening, Wes, they'd put him up at the Standard, which at the time was like the coolest hotel. He didn't even stay there. He stayed at the house and slept on a couch, and it was just one of those things. It was just a magical place, and Wes and I had met on a movie called The White River Kid about 6 months before he'd come out to Los Angeles. And I first moved in the house way before everybody else, and I was like 20. And I got there, and Greg, who was one of the other actors who was struggling, he was in the house at the time. And then Tony, who had directed Greg, and Brad Rowe, who was the other roommate in the movie, we sort of introduced everybody, and everyone just kind of flocked, and we all kind of just, it was cool. It was awesome. It was a great time.
And I'm sure there's great camaraderie, and there's a bunch of crazy stories in that house. What's the craziest story that comes to mind living with those guys in that time frame? It's got to be one crazy story that comes to mind.
You know what? I mean, literally, it's in the movie. I mean, we would put on these shows for people. We would have these parties, and then we would just put on these shows, and I mean, it was fascinating. I mean, there was nobody at the house, and all of a sudden, all these actors and studio execs, and all of a sudden, it was just this flux of industry coming to our house and watching us do these crazy things. And it's actually on tape in the movie, so I'll save it for you to actually watch.
Ooh, yeah, don't ruin it for me. I hate those spoilers. They're the enemy of the whole entertainment industry. I hate them. I hate spoilers. But yeah, I'm dying to see this, like I said. But you got to think, you got 5 of the hottest guys in Hollywood, and you got a bunch of you guys make it right off the bat. Like I said, you, Wes, you're just all of a sudden just thrown into the limelight. And I'm sure, being in L.A., I've seen some crazy stuff when I was there. I'm sure people are throwing themselves at you. You guys are the hot new thing. Who is the hottest piece of ass that walked through that house? And whose was it?